Hello, this is Nightline and I'm Raymond. News making the headlines. Students get to keep tablets under Peranti Siswa, says Prime Minister. And NADMA steps up floods preparations coordination with agencies. Good morning. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah congratulated the government, participants and organizer for the success of the 2022 National Day celebration at Dataran Merdeka last August 31st. The King also expressed his appreciation to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa for making the event a success. Comptroller of the Royal Household for Istana Negara, Datuk Sri Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, in a statement on Saturday, said Al-Sultan Abdullah was amazed by the spirit of unity, patriotism and love for the country displayed by the people at the event, as well as similar events organized throughout the country. The King also expressed his joy and gratitude to the people who went to the venue to watch the celebration, where the crowd exceeded the target of 50,000 people. Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed hope that a spirit which directly reflected the closeness of the people of various races in the country will further strengthen harmony in the country. He hoped that a spirit will also be reflected at the Malaysia Day celebration this September 16th. All 400,000 recipients of the tablets under the Keluarga Malaysia Peranti Siswa initiative will not need to return the devices once they graduate. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government has decided to let the students keep their devices for free to motivate the recipients to study hard and obtain excellent scores in their exams.
Inisiatif Peranti Siswa ini diberikan secara konsep guna pakai, di mana mahasiswa perlu serahkan semula peranti setelah tamat pengajian. Namun atas maklum balas yang memberangsangkan semasa sesi pertemuan antara Yang Berhormat Menteri Kekom bersama wakil-wakil perwakilan pelajar pada 15 Ogos yang lalu, terdapat cadangan supaya peranti siswa ini diberikan secara terus kepada mahasiswa.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said this in his opening speech at the launch of the Keluarga Malaysia Peranti Siswa initiative in Shah Alam on Saturday. Also in attendance were 450 students who are among the thousands of recipients under the first round of the initiative. It was previously reported the recipients under the initiative will get a Samsung Galaxy Tab A8 LTE tablet. The initiative, in collaboration with selected telecommunications companies, is E40 students at public and private institutions of higher learning, polytechnics and community colleges under the Higher Education Ministry. It expanded to students in 4 other categories: those in Education Ministry matriculation programs, foundation courses at public universities, Form 6 students in the first and second semesters, and vocational college diploma students. At the same event, the Prime Minister also announced that the government had decided to extend indefinitely the Keluarga Malaysia Teens Affordable Internet Package, which was supposed to end next month. The government will ensure the implementation of 5th generation mobile network 5G service goes according to plan, despite 2 mobile network operators, MNOs, having decided to pull out from the Digital Nasional Berhad DNB stake deal. Communications and Multimedia Minister Tan Sri Anwar Musa said following the withdrawal of the 2 companies, negotiations with 4 other MNOs will continue and are expected to conclude within 2 weeks.
Kerajaan dan Kabinet putuskan majoriti hendaklah swasta. Sedangkan 4 tadi tak cukup 50%. Setiap syarikat kena kembali kepada board. Sebab board mereka beri kelulusan berdasarkan 11% subscription. Jadi kalau kita tawarkan lebih, katalah sampai 15, 16, 17%, mereka kena balik semula kepada board. Mereka tak boleh jawab ya terus. Jadi kita paksa beri masa.
Tan Sri Anwar told this to the media after the launch of Keluarga Malaysia cheap sale at Di Dagang in Shah Alam on Saturday. He also said, as mentioned by Finance Minister Datuk Sri Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz, the offer is open to other industry players interested in acquiring a stake in DNB. He stressed that the 5G rollout must remain on track to meet the priority of achieving 80% 5G coverage in populated areas by 2024. The minister added that if the matter can be resolved within 1 to 2 weeks, the related companies can offer 5G services for areas where infrastructure has been completed without delay. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, is stepping up preparations and coordination efforts in facing potential huge floods from November due to the northeast monsoon. The agency said it had been actively monitoring and also integrating actions with the states and districts' disaster secretariats. In a statement on Saturday, NADMA said the agency's National Disaster Command Centre, NDCC, will continue to observe the situation in collaboration with various technical agencies. It also said the departments of Meteorology, Drainage and Irrigation, Mineral and Geoscience, Works and Survey and Mapping, as well as the Malaysian Space Agency and other related agencies are sharing the latest information and warnings through the NDCC Disaster Command Centre hotline and announcements in mass and social media. NADMA added the local governments also carried out engagement sessions with states and districts' disaster management committees, comprising the Civil Defence Force, Police and Fire and Rescue Department. The public are advised to always refer to official related government channels for the latest updates and verified weather forecast. Residents living in areas expected to experience floods are also advised to be on alert for orders from the authorities to evacuate if necessary. Last year's December floods, which affected 8 states, and was described by officials as a once-in-a-century disaster, saw thousands of people displaced and extensive property damage. PAS will not rule out the possibility of cooperation with UMNO in the 15th general election, GE15, through the Muafakat Nasional MN platform, adhering to the political principle that it is dynamic. Its President Tan Sri Abdul Hadi Awang said PAS still adheres to the original consensus agreement and considers that the MN cooperation still exists.
Kita masih lagi berpegang kepada perjanjian asal antara PAS dengan UMNO. Di masa kita tubuh Muafakat Nasional, kita bersetuju bukan saja UMNO dan PAS, termasuk bersatu, termasuk mana-mana NGO nak ikut serta kita terima. Masih lagi berpegang kepada perjanjian asal.
As such, Tan Sri Hadi said that Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi's statement, which described the cooperation between UMNO and PAS in the Muafakat Nasional as dangkal or superficial, does not reflect the overall view of UMNO and its grassroots. He said this to reporters after officiating the 68th PAS annual meeting in Kota Sarang Semut, Kedah on Saturday. Earlier in his speech at the event, Tan Sri Hadi also stressed that PAS does not cooperate in matters of sin, such as continuing enmity and hiding sins without remorse and unrepentance. He said PAS also did not turn a blind eye to wrongdoings such as corruption, money politics, politics of seeking office, misconduct and mismanagement. Meanwhile, Perikatan Nasional PN will accept whatever decision made by leaders of the parties in the coalition, including not to cooperate with Pakatan Harapan PH in the GE15. Its chairman, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, said he is open and takes into account the stance by PAS as a PN component party in not wanting to cooperate with PH in the election.
Oleh itu, apapun situasi keadaan, kita akan terima. Kemungkinan besar pilihan raya ini akan melihat pertemuan beberapa penjuru, 3-cornered fight ke 4-cornered fight. Kita sudah bersedia.
Speaking to reporters at PAS's 68th annual meeting in Alostar on Saturday, the Bersatu president also stressed that PN has its own strategy to secure victory for the coalition in the polls. Prior to this, Tan Sri Muhyiddin was reported to have said that PN's call for the opposition to consider renegotiating political cooperation was made in the interests of the country's future and its people. He added that the move was to save the country from falling further into kleptocracy, corruption and abuse of power. Police confirmed that they have recorded a statement from PKR Deputy President Rafizi Ramli on Saturday. Sentul Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Bae Eng Lai said the former Pandan Member of Parliament was summoned following a report lodged by an aide of Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Special Functions, Dato Abdul Latif Ahmad, on August 30th. Rafizi was seen arriving at the Dangwangi Police Headquarters in Kuala Lumpur at about 3 p.m. accompanied by a lawyer. According to Bae, an investigation paper against Rafizi had been opened following the report lodged by Syed Ahmad Muizuddin Al-Syed Muhammad. He added that police also seized Rafizi's hand phone for further investigations. In the police report, Rafizi was alleged to have made several defamatory statements, claiming that a woman named Zainab Muhammad Saleh, who was linked to the Littoral Combat Ship LCS scandal, is Dato Dr. Abdul Latif's wife. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for defamation and the Communications and Multimedia Act for improper use of network facilities or network services. A Myanmar man and his Thai wife, who were allegedly involved in a human trafficking syndicate linked to the transit camps and mass graves found in 2015 in Wang Kelian, Perlis, were arrested in Bangkok on Thursday. According to Thai authorities, the 55-year-old man and his wife, who were carrying Malaysian passports, fled from Thailand to Kuala Lumpur in 2015 and changed their names to escape their criminal past and evade police detection. Thailand's Assistant National Police Chief, Police Lieutenant General Surachate Hakpan, said the husband and wife admitted that they had changed their names. However, they declined the charges, including trafficking of Rohingya, pressed against them in 2015. He added the couple were involved in trafficking Rohingya from Rakhine in Myanmar and transit in Thailand before entering Malaysia. They were also committing money laundering through their tour bus company. Arrest warrants were issued to the couple for human trafficking and money laundering in 2015. Surachate also thanked the Malaysian police for their cooperation in getting the couple arrested. To date, Thai police issued arrest warrants to 153 individuals, including Thai army officers and local officials who were allegedly involved in the human trafficking activities in 2015 and have arrested 124 of them. In May 2015, police discovered 139 graves in 28 temporary camps run by a human trafficking syndicate in the jungle near the Thai-Malaysian border in Wang Kelian. Similar graves were also found in Thailand. The victims were said to have come from Myanmar and Bangladesh in search of jobs. Deposed Sri Lankan president faces arrest calls. This and more right after this breather. to Nightline. Indonesia raised subsidized fuel prices by about 30% on Saturday as the government moves to rein in ballooning subsidies despite a risk of mass protests. Officials said the price of subsidized gasoline was raised to 10,000 rupiah a litre from 7,650 rupiah, while that of subsidized diesel rose to 6,800 rupiah a litre from 5,150 rupiah. President Joko Widodo, in confirming the matter, said the government had to make a decision in a difficult situation as the budget for subsidies has tripled and is expected to continue to increase. Southeast Asia's largest economy had already jacked up its 2022 energy subsidies to 502 trillion rupiah, 3 times the original budget, pushed by rising global prices of oil and a depreciating rupiah currency. If prices were not raised, Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati said the budget would have ballooned further to 698 trillion rupiah. She estimated total energy subsidies would range between 591 trillion and 649 trillion rupiah for this year, following the price hike, assuming the average crude price stays in the range of $85 to $100 a barrel for the remainder of 2022. Deposed Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa faced calls for his arrest Saturday after returning home from self-imposed exile under the protection of the government that took charge when he fled. Leaders of the protest campaign that toppled his government said Rajapaksa, who lost his presidential immunity after leaving office, should now be brought to justice. Rajapaksa's government was accused of chaotic mismanagement as the Sri Lankan economy spiraled into unprecedented downturn. The crisis saw acute shortages of food, lengthy blackouts and long queues at gas stations for scarce fuel supplies, after the country ran out of foreign currency to pay for vital imports, and Rajapaksa fled the island nation under military escort in July after a huge crowd stormed his official residence following months of angry demonstrations against his government. The 73-year-old announced his resignation from Singapore and spent weeks under virtual house arrest at a Bangkok hotel, lobbying his successor to allow his return. In another development, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Friday denounced a new three-year sentence imposed on Myanmar's ousted elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi and has urged further pressure on the country's junta. Blinken stated that the U.S. strongly condemns the Myanmar military regime's unjust sentencing of Suu Kyi to 3 more years of prison, including hard labor, adding that the regime should be held accountable for its escalating violence and repression of democratically elected leaders in Myanmar. The U.S. and other Western nations have imposed a series of sanctions on Myanmar's junta since the coup, but to little avail. The latest sentence, handed down behind closed doors, was over purported electoral fraud in 2020 polls that Suu Kyi's party won by a landslide. No 3 points for JDT. Super League action when Nightline returns. 2022 Super League. Johor Darul Takzim, JDT, had to wait for a little longer to claim the trophy as they were held to a 1-1 draw by Selangor on Saturday night. JDT looked set for an easy victory as they took the lead after 33 minutes when Bergson Da Silva converted a penalty following a foul on Muhammad Arif Aiman in the penalty box. Selangor, however, equalised 4 minutes after the hour mark when Hulsen Keon beat the offside trap and JDT's goalkeeper Haziq Nazli before putting the ball into an empty net. The 1-1 scoreline remained till the final whistle, forcing both sides to be satisfied with a share of points. With a draw, JDT strengthened their grip at the top of the standings with 42 points after 16 matches, while Selangor are stuck in 8th with 17 points. On to tennis now, the 2022 US Open. Top seed and defending champion Daniil Medvedev has set a blockbuster fourth-round showdown with red-hot Australian Nick Kyrgios after defeating China's Wu Yibing on Saturday morning at Flushing Meadows. Wu, who became the first Chinese man in US Open history to reach the third round, was plagued by several unforced errors in the clash as Medvedev prevailed in an hour and 55 minutes. Beginning the match close to 11 p.m. local time, Medvedev dismissed Wu 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 to reach the second week for the fourth consecutive year. The defending champion moves on to face Wimbledon runner-up Nick Kyrgios on Sunday. Earlier, Kyrgios completed a straight sets victory over J.J. Wolf in the third round of the US Open without having his serve broken a single time in the 6-4, 6-2, 6-3 victory. Kyrgios dominated the match with his serve, racking up 21 aces to Wolf's 5, and of the 7 breakpoint opportunities the Australian allowed, he saved all 7. With a win, he books his spot in the fourth round with Medvedev, where he has won 3 of the 4 career meetings, including their most recent fixture in the Canadian Open. In the women's event, Serena Williams lost in the third round of the US Open at Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, marking what was likely her final match as a professional tennis player. The 23-time Grand Slam champion staved off 5 match points to prolong the 3 hours plus proceedings, but could not do more and was eliminated from the US Open in the third round by Ayla Tomljanovic 7-5, 6-7, 6-1 on Friday night in what is expected to be her final contest. In another match, Caroline Garcia has knocked 2019 champion Bianca Andreescu out of the US Open. The number 17 seed from France continued her strong summer surge with a 6-3, 6-2 victory that moved her into the fourth round. Garcia has won 11 straight matches, including the title last month in Cincinnati, and was ranked as low as number 79 earlier in the summer. Up next on Nightline, 2 toddlers die in tragic house fire. This and more after the short break. Nightline. In Johor, 2 toddlers died in a house fire at Kampung Datuk Sulaiman Menteri in Johor Bahru on Saturday. The victims were identified as siblings, 2-year-old Nurul Hawa Zafira Muhammad Fitri and Muhammad Zafran, aged 3. State Fire and Rescue Department Acting Director Muhammad Rizal Buang said 21 firefighters from the Tebrau and Larkin stations were dispatched to the scene after an emergency call was received at 1:41 p.m. The public had also tried to put out the flames before the firemen arrived, but the fire had destroyed about 60% of the house before it was brought under control 40 minutes later. The 2 charred victims were later found in a bedroom. Both siblings were in the house with their mother when the incident occurred. However, the woman did not suffer any injuries. The remains of the 2 siblings were taken to Sultana Amina Hospital for post-mortem. The cause of the blaze was still under investigation. In Kedah, police arrested 3 men and seized 21 packets of compressed ganja weighing 21.9 kilograms, believed to be worth about 52,500 ringgit, in a raid at a house in Pinang Tunggal, Sungai Petani last Thursday. Kuala Muda District Police Chief ACP Zaidi Cik Hassan said the suspects aged between 22 and 59 were arrested at about 4:30 p.m. and a 33-year-old van driver, believed to be the mastermind, was one of those arrested, while the other 2 suspects were his father and a cousin. Initial investigation revealed that the suspects have been active in distributing drugs in Sungai Petani and Pulau Pinang over the last 2 months. The van driver has 4 previous records for drug-related offences, while the cousin has a record for cheating. Both of them also tested positive for ganja and methamphetamine, respectively. All 3 suspects are in remand for 6 days since Friday for investigation under the Dangerous Drugs Act. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court fined 2 men 5,000 ringgit each for provoking an immigration officer last month. The accused, Myor Abdul Mahir Myor Muhammad and Jason Su Kai Sun, aged 32 and 26 respectively, pleaded guilty after the charge was read out to them before Judge Emilia Keswati Muhammad. In a statement on Saturday, Immigration Department Director General Datuk Sri Khairul Zaimi Daud said the duo would face a 5-month prison term if they failed to pay the fine. The charge under the Immigration Act provides a fine not exceeding 10,000 ringgit or a maximum 5 years imprisonment upon conviction. The duo provoked the enforcement officer by refusing to cooperate and uttered abusive words during an operation in Pantai Dalam, Kuala Lumpur on August 10th. One of the men also spat at the immigration officer while recording a video of the provocation with the intention of humiliating the department and the officer. Datuk Sri Khairul Zaimi said any provocation and threat made to any immigration officer on duty would be dealt with severely in accordance with the law. Over in the United Kingdom, the exclusive Salon Privé Motor Show returned to the grounds of Blenheim Palace for its annual festival this week. Now in its 17th year, Salon Privé showcases a variety of rare and head-turning luxury cars, where in every turn there's some four-wheel gem to enjoy, from classic Ferraris to a 1930 Rolls-Royce Phantom to Handley Special. Let's take a look at the event as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Raymond. Thank you for your company. Have a good weekend and stay safe.